Hello, hello, hello. My name is Brian K. McNeill, aka Paw B, and I am the sales confidence coach, but I'm also a father and I'm also a grandfather. And since I have been a speaker and a sales trainer and a sales coach for 29 years now, over the years, you collect useful fiction stories. You collect these stories that you give in a speech or you share with people that have a point to them. They have a meaning to them. They're useful fiction stories, and I've accumulated a lot of stories over the years. And I thought it might be fun to have a segment at about 9 p.m. where I got a chance to just share some of the stories that I considered great over the years. So I'm calling this Story Time with Paw B. That's what I'm going to call this. And I'll do this, often enough and just have some fun with it. And maybe you will hear a story in this series that you can share with someone else. I'm giving these stories that you maybe find a point to or a purpose to it, and you can share it with someone else. The first story from Paw B is I'm only going to do one story a night. Consider this your bedtime story. But the first story is a story I've told often. It's the story of the Three Thieves. The Three Thieves. That's the title of the story, The Three Thieves. The first thief. Let me tell you the story. The first thief was a gentleman named Emmanuel Ninger. Emmanuel Ninger. This happened around the turn of the century up in New England. And Emmanuel Ninger he went to the grocery store one day to buy some greens, some turnip greens to cook. And he got the greens from where they were located. The greens were wet. He took them to the counter, and the lady, she rings him up, and he hands her a $20 bill. And because she had bagged the wet greens, there was still some water on her hands when she took the money from him. And as she went to put the money in the register, she noticed that some of the ink from the $20 bill that Emmanuel had handed her was off on her fingers. And she thought, no, there's no way Manny would give us counterfeit money. He's a neighbor. He's a friend. He wouldn't give us counterfeit money. No way. So she gives him change, and he takes his greens and goes away. But prudence tells her, I should at least check it out. So she calls the police. They come, they check out the $20 bill, and sure enough, it was a counterfeit $20 bill. So the police, they get a warrant, and they go to his home and arrest him. And they search his home, and they found up in his attic another $20 bill in the very act of being counterfeited. It was on an easel, and they had some paint there. You see, Emmanuel Ninger painted $20 bills. That was how he counterfeited them. So they seized all the equipment. He had completed 3 portraits, and he had them on the floor leaned up against the wall. The police seized those as well. Emmanuel went to jail. The police sold the portraits that they had seized at a police auction for about $3,500. That's what it yielded the police department around the late 1800s. And Emmanuel Ninger spent his time in jail. Now, Emmanuel Ninger, he could have made a lot more money with this painting, but he chose to paint $20 bills to steal. Who did he steal the most from? That's the first thief. The second thief was a guy named Arthur Barry. Arthur Barry was a jewel thief in Boston around the 1920s. And he was a really good jewel thief. He was so good at it. He would only steal from the upper echelon of society, the people that he saw in the newspaper and the society page. And it kind of got to be a prestigious thing. Has Arthur Barry stolen anything from you? Arthur Barry, the police didn't like that, though. They didn't like the fact that he stole from their citizenry, so they set a trap for him. They had let the world know that there was going to be particular jewels at this particular home, and they set a trap. And sure enough, Arthur Barry fell for the trap. He snuck into the home, he got the jewels, and the police sprung their trap on him. And he was escaped. He was willy-nilly. He slipped through the police barricade, and one cop saw him through the plate glass window and shot him through a plate glass window. And he went down. He had glass in his face, glass in his eyes, glass in his body. And as he was laying on the ground, waiting for the police to come and grab him, he says, "I'm not going to do this anymore." But before the police could get to him, he escaped. He slipped out and he left Boston. He went further up in New England and he went to a really small town. And he, sure enough, he kept his word. He never went back to stealing jewels. He became a model citizen. He even became part of the local politics in the little town that he had moved to. One night, he got into an argument with his girlfriend, and she told the police who he really was. And the police arrested him. And he spent many years in jail from all that he had stolen. One reporter found out who he really was and went to the jail to interview him. And he said, "Mr. Barry, you're famous for stealing from so many people. Who do you believe you stole the most from?" Arthur Barry says, "Young man, I was blessed with patience. I was blessed with mathematical skills. I could have been a baron on Wall Street. I could have been a major business player, but I chose to use my skills to steal jewels from people's homes. It's no question who I stole the most from. I stole the most from Arthur Barry. I spent a third of my life in jail. I stole the most from myself." The third thief is a thief that you probably know more intimately. The third thief is you. Now, I could call you the third thief if you are not currently using your collection of gifts, skills, and talents to the full. If you're not using your current gifts, skills, and talents to master whatever it is that you set your hands to, if you're not using all of your current gifts, skills, or talents, you are stealing from yourself. That's the story of the three thieves. I'm hoping it inspires you to want to uh, use your gifts more to the full. I hope it inspires you to no longer steal, be one of the three thieves. This is Paw B with the first story in the series, The Three Thieves. I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I enjoyed telling it to you. Good night to you.